Tales from the Tavern was recorded in front of a live Twitch audience.
I'm Commander Shepard, and Tales from the Tavern is my favorite stream on Twitch.
It's really super helpful when I pay attention to the intro video ending. I was paying attention to the fact that my cats were walking into the room. Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of Tales from the Tavern. How are you all tonight? I have a super great group of guests with me, and I'm really excited. We've got a few people that are coming back for their third, maybe fourth time. We couldn't quite remember. And then we've got 3 people who are joining me for the first time, which is really exciting. So what I would like to do is I will go around, I'll have everybody introduce themselves, tell us a little about who they are and what they do and where we can find them on social media, and then I'll go over the ins and outs of the stream. So Adam, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little about yourself.
Hey everybody, Adam Culbertson here. I am the DM of Microphones and Monsters. I am Vartan in Ethereal Embrace. And I'm one of the head creators over at a new network, Creative Typo Entertainment. We have a new show premiering March 16th. It is Dread Tech Incorporated. It is an eldritch horror mystery cyberpunk game. It's a spin-off series of Microphones and Monsters, and you can find it at dreadtech.com. You can find all of our shows at creativetypo.com. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, that's very exciting, getting the new venture off the ground. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Bill, tell us a little about you.
My name is Bill. I'm with I Rolled a One. It's an actual one-on-one role-play game. I pick a game with one of my friends, and I have them run it, or they ask me to run one, and we just go and whatever system is available, and we do it. So I'm on Twitter and Facebook with the I Rolled a One, and my stuff is, you can find it on podcast, and you can find it on, Podbean and Spotify and a few others.
Awesome. That sounds like a blast, actually. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I'm looking forward to getting to chat with you a little bit. Jeremy, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm Jeremy, and sorry, before I forget, Bill, that's awesome. Because I have so many games that I never get to play, and that's exactly... I'll go into it more later, but yeah. What do? I stream, I make games, I've done a lot of freelance work for Kobold Press and Onyx Path. I don't really work for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we were digging a little into some of your publications earlier, and Wolf's Blood, one of my moderators, was like, he's done some really cool stuff.
I like the fact that he used cornucopia.
Yes.
He has a cornucopia of things. I like that.
I like it. Well, thank you. I'm looking forward to getting to chat.
Yay, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Melody, Mother Multiverse.
Hi. Hi, yeah, I'm Melody, aka Mother Multiverse. Mostly I just make games on itch, like lots of games. I have a mild game jam addiction. I just enjoy the group atmosphere and everybody trying to make something as quickly as possible and seeing what comes out of it. As far as games I've made that I've maybe people have heard of. I made Trash Mob. It's an isekai monster RPG where you are a real person, you die, and then you come back as a monster.
Nice.
And in a fantasy world, and you have to try and level up and eventually become, the OP main protag, and it's a fun time.
Nice.
You can find me on itch.
Awesome. Yes. Link is in the chat, so do that. And Run DMG, the man himself, Ryan, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I am Ryan, or Run DMG. I make, I guess I'm on a podcast called Dice Populi. Some people may know me from there, but I also have a TikTok and other various social media channels where I make memes, all things Dungeons and Dragons, and sometimes other tabletop RPGs, things like that. But yeah, I'm just memeing, and just some people I guess seem to like it. I guess.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a couple.
Yeah. I really got a good chuckle out of the fact that Wolfsblood put in your bio for the chat that you're not 3 kobolds in a trench coat, because didn't you just post a meme about that anyway?
I did just recently post something from an Eric and Andre. It was an Andre skit where he's on somebody else's shoulders going into a used car lot.
Super funny. Well, thank you all so much for coming on. If you are new to coming in and checking out the stream, let me tell you a little about how this works. So basically, all of our questions, everything that we're going to talk about, comes from questions from chat. So if you have a question that you would like to hear us talk about, or you would like to get answered, please feel free to just drop it right into the chat. We have moderators that will make sure that it gets to us so we can answer them. We will answer them in the order that they come in, unless you use, for 1,000 channel points, we have the Ask My Question next, and that will bump your question up to the top one in the queue. So if we've got like 5 questions, you're like, man, I really want to get my question answered, you can use that if you've been around for a little while, and we will take your question next, and we will jump that one right up to the top of the queue as soon as we get to the next question. So that's how that works. Otherwise, I'm gonna start us off with a nice. I'm gonna softball pitch this one at you guys, like a nice gentle softball pitch. When you are playing at an actual physical table, do your dice have to match?
Absolutely not.
No.
It's whatever I roll out of my little bag at the time. So
Yes, they have to match. Not always. Like if I'm throwing like 16 D6, I do not have 16 matching D6s, but I typically and it's not even a conscious thing, I will subconsciously buy a dice set for the character. Because, dice set aren't that expensive. You could buy a Chessex colored dice set for a few bucks. And yeah, that I always, when I started playing as Cult on my stream, I bought like 2 different sets of dice. I think I bought a black and red one and a black and green one, and I wasn't sure which I was going to use. And now I use a black and yellow one, basically specifically for him. But yeah.
Nice.
So you know how there's like dice goblin type people? I'm a bit more of, I think, a dice cryptid, because I've lost so many dice over the years that I'm sure years
I love
later,
that.
people are going to be like somewhere, they could be digging in a field, or possibly, just like enter a house and it'll just fall out of a wall or something, because I have no idea where they went, but they went somewhere. And they're gonna show up, so I can't make my dice match, because I'll just be lucky if I keep all of them. I do my best, but they just find ways. They will go.
I might actually have found some of yours, because I've just randomly found dice before. I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
I'm keeping this. I used to try and keep everything separate when I started, but I have so many dice now. If we're gonna compare dice goblins, I'm like the dice dragon, just sitting cozily on my hoard of dice, and I just can't. I think it's so cute that they have those little trays, and each little die has its spot. I'm like, I would have to have so many trays to keep everything organized. So
Oh, so
I do have.
you mean ones like this?
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, I do have a couple of characters who do have their own dice, so I do keep those separate. But everyone else is just thrown in a bag or thrown in. I don't know if everyone remembers EverQuest.
Yeah.
But there was
Yeah.
a gold edition that came in a big tin that tin is full of dice downstairs. I've got another bag up here, and yeah, I can't.
I've been using the
Crown Royal bags for Whisper Dice. I mean, that's what mine was for the longest time.
Right, I've got that too. Wait, I have that one in reach.
We were talking
got all
about
my dice in
ASMR
reach.
beforehand. It's going to be like dice bag ASMR. Everybody's going to start
Right.
like clacking all their dice.
No, I've been using the two same set of dice since I started DMing, and I just have enough there to where if I need more than one D20, I got it, and then I got like 3 more extra D20s, just in case like one is just rolling consistently high or low, and just to mix it up. But I'm one of the people that doesn't really care about dice too much. They serve their function.
I am the one. My regular people in chat know this about me already, but I am the one who has the multitude of dice, and they are all in their own cases. I have at least 12 sets within arm's reach right now, and they are all in their own individual cases. Like I showed you this one, I showed you this one, I've got another set that's rolled up in here, there's a mini set right here.
It's beautiful.
Right, I've got 4 sets right there. Like they're everywhere, and they're all in their own container. But the thing about it is that, like, I can look at the container and I know which ones are in which container.
Nice.
Like, I know that these are my color changing metal dice without having to open them, and I know that these are my blue ones that I got from a Kickstarter, and that sort of thing. So
So what causes them to change colors? I haven't seen these. I have to know.
Oh, so they are essentially kind of like a mood dice. Let's see, what color are they right now? They're blue right now, so I'll kind of hold them up. They're gold, but like the inside is blue. And then as they get warm, I'll have to hold it in my hand for a while because my hand is cold. I will sit on it for a second.
Later, we're going to forget, and later you're going to be, why is this die out?
Right? I'm going to be like, what? Yeah. Nope. And then they'll turn purple as they get warm,
that.
and
Nice.
they're like, I never use them, but I'm so amused by it. So because
That's fair.
I never use metal dice because they're heavy. So
You mess up people's tables using metal dice sometimes, and then they get angry at you.
I know. Well, that's
Yeah, we've given away cooler dice than like what I will ever have.
yeah.
Yeah. Done some giveaways. It's like this is pricey. I would buy for myself. I'm so cheap when it comes to dice.
Yeah, I get that. I did a lot of Kickstarter backing during the last couple years of the pandemic because I'm helping small creators, go me, and so like I probably bought more dice in the last 2 years than I have in like the previous 10. So yeah, that's a problem. But it's okay because I love them all.
That's me with books. I just keep on buying books. I used to be like, no, I'm not going to do Kickstarter books because once I start, it will be hard to stop. And now I'm on the Kickstarter thing, so I've started to buy books that's like, well, I've got to have the collector's edition.
Yeah.
People will judge me if I don't have the collector's edition. And then I also am buying all these old books too. So it's like, my wife is just like eyeing me as I've got like these green and whatever colored packages from all these Kickstarters. And then also like she knows what like bookseller I buy off of. She's like, hey, what's that one?
Where'd that
Whoa,
come
what
from?
is the strange package I received? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll take it upstairs and investigate.
Right.
I had to laugh because I was out and about down in Boston with my daughter a couple weeks ago, and we were in what the heck? Oh, we were in like a Barnes and Noble, and my daughter turns to me and she's like, "Mom, did you see? They have dice." And I said, "Yeah, but I don't need more dice, child." And she's like, "Yes, you do." And I was like, "Son of a bitch!"
You're right.
Enablers.
I know.
They always pull me back in.
Surprisingly, though, I did not buy more dice. Instead, I sucked it up and I bought the Cup of Noodles edition of Yahtzee.
Oh, nice.
So that was
So
fun.
technically you did get dice.
I mean, I did, but
Ah.
I bought 5 new D6s and a Cup of Noodles shaker for them. All right, let's see. Well, we've got a couple of questions that have come in from chat. So the first one that we got is from Zeal Zaddy. Hello, Scott. How are you? The question is, as busy creators, do you find time to watch other creators' campaigns, streams, or podcasts? If so, who and why? If not, do you support streamers and podcasts in other ways?
I'll go first. Oh, you go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, no problem. I've actually listened to a couple. One of my favorite ones is Fandible. I listen to their stuff. They do a lot of different games and systems, and then two of them who broke off and they started doing the solo shot version of Star Wars, which was I listened to that too. So there's those two, and then I started listening to a group of guys called they do one that's called Gimme the Loot. It's a couple guys are like real experienced. There's a couple guys who aren't real experienced, and they just have a ton of fun doing it, and they're a lot of fun to listen to. So
Yeah, I don't listen as much as I used to. It used to be it was like I used to work at a relatively boring job when I did a lot of reading, and I still do that, but I work from home now, so I can read while doing something else because nobody is watching me. So I've actually kind of like veered off podcasts a little bit. I still support them, and I still occasionally listen to them. It's just I'll retweet, I'll repost, I'll help try and if I hear about opportunities, I'll let them know about it. But yeah, it gets kind of hard, especially because my weekend. So a little background on me: my wife is in the Air Force, so she's doing training right now in a separate city, and we're like trading off weekends traveling. So I only have like 5 days to do stuff. And so I'm like having to plan for weekends and all this other stuff, and sometimes it's really hard to fit in like a stream. It's incredibly hard to fit in a stream.
Especially depending on how long it is, because some of them are like, here's an hour or maybe 2, and some are like, here's 5 hours.
Yeah, here's 5 hours. I don't got 5 hours.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my main point for not watching Critical Role for the longest time, was because they're 4+ hours, and by the time I really started paying attention to it, it was like, here's 100 episodes you need to catch up on. And I'm like, no. But my wife and I just started watching the newest season, and so we've been staying on top of that. That's fun. Black Dice Society is also really fun. And I follow like a bunch of them on Twitter that I'm like, I'm going to follow them so I remember to watch them. And I will retweet their stuff.
Yeah, I do a lot of retweeting when I'm on social media and stuff. But same with me. Like I'm always creating something or working on something behind like back end stuff. And my only times I really get to listen to podcasts and watching streams is really, really low. But listening to podcasts like Roll Britannia, Roll Game Roleplay, and Tales from the Tavern, I listen to the audio versions when I'm driving. So
yeah, I do a lot of podcast listening when I'm in the car. I listen to Lawful Great Adventures and now their spin-off Telluride.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's really good. And I actually several weeks ago had the entire cast on, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, so that's a really great one. If you're into space westerns for sad cowboys, give it a listen.
Nice.
And then I listen to Dice Populi, which is Ryan's. I listen to that one. I'm also one of their Patreon supporters. So yeah, so that's the other thing is like some of the creators that like I might not necessarily partake of a lot of their content as much as I could. I try to support via like a low-level Patreon. UO Publishing, I'm part of their Patreon. There's a few other creators that are out there that, I support their Patreon or, Ko-fi or something like that. And then streams, I don't get to spend nearly as much time on Twitch as I used to, now that I'm back in the office and not working from home all the time. But I still carry a lot of like Twitch subscriptions for channels that, I want to promote their content, and, I support the work that they're doing and that sort of thing. So, so that's sort of how I do it. And then, I mentioned Kickstarter, and, so I do a lot with that, or, looking for indie systems and that sort of thing. So I try to support smaller creators where I can and as my budget allows. But yeah, I think there's so many good content creators out there that it's like, I don't even know where I want to start.
Yeah.
It's so many folks. So many folks. And like, honestly, sometimes it feels like you're missing out in a lot of ways, because you'll find out about something and then you'll be like, oh God, they're already like, I'm listening to the first episode. They've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've got to catch up. If I want to be part of what's going on now, I have to catch up. And honestly, that can be a little anxiety inducing. That was my issue with Critical Role. I watched like the first maybe 20, 30 episodes of Critical Role. And then I for whatever reason, I went on vacation or something like that, and I got behind a couple, and then it was just a busy couple of weeks. I got behind a couple of more, and like I could no longer like talk about what was recently happening, and I had to watch for spoilers. All of a sudden, I was like 20 episodes behind, and then 30. It's like I've got like 100 hours of content before I'm back in the zone again. So I just stopped watching. I can't do it.
Yeah, like binging a TV series where they're like 45 minutes, maybe an hour, is one thing, but binging 5-hour episodes, you're like, okay, this is like weeks of time I have to spend. Totally understand.
Yeah, that's just it. Most of the podcasts that I listen to are between an hour to 2 hours long, and that's because like I can literally space them out and be like, okay, this one releases on Tuesday, so I can listen to it on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then this one drops on Thursday, so I can listen to it on Thursday or Friday. This one only releases every other week, so I can listen to that one in the off week, So I sort of like got my schedule figured out, but I was lucky, I guess, in terms of listening to podcasts, because before COVID hit, I was commuting an hour each way 5 days a week to go to work. So I had tons of listening time. Like I could listen to all my podcasts plus audiobooks plus like all this other stuff. And now I only commute 20 minutes 4 days a week and then work from home 1 day a week. So my listening time has dropped substantially, but then I was like, okay, once I got myself situated, like at home, I figured out, okay, I can listen to this podcast on Fridays when I'm, working from home or that sort of thing. That really helped me like stay on track, because same thing. It's so easy to fall behind like 4 or 5 episodes.
Does anyone listen while they're doing things, or is it more of a filler when you're not doing something, or like you're like cleaning house or driving? But like when you're actually creating, can you listen to it and actually hear it? Yeah, I have the same issue. I'm just like,
no,
what did they do for the last half an hour? Crap.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yeah.
If I'm doing audio editing, I can't do it. But there's like, for some of the stuff I do for TikTok where I'm doing like tracking of scenes and like splitting up scenes and everything, I can listen to stuff during that. But if I'm popping out like a couple of those in an hour, I have to keep on stopping and starting the podcast, because I have to like listen to the scene and make sure it's still coherent. So it can get a little tough.
Yeah.
Provided like my work lets me, I love doing podcasts at work. Once you get to a point of a super repetitive task where you're like, my brain turns off and I do the thing. Okay, cool. I can also listen to something at the same time, and that like is my happy place as far as all the like podcasts and things go. Usually.
Nice.
But it has been a little bit since I've gotten into that nice zone.
Yeah.
I try to use like Fridays for like my data entry days, so that it's all like super mindless work and I can do it from home really easily. And so, yeah, same kind of thing. Like I don't have to pay attention to this. It's like I'm just punching in dates and names and that's it. And, and that's like you said, kind of that repetitive, but I can't, like, I'm not someone who can listen to a podcast and read a book at the same time.
I got really good at that for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I read like government reports for like testing stuff. So I'm reading like 500 pages about like gas turbine engines or whatever. And it's like the most monotonous stuff ever.
Right?
So I got to a point where I trained, like, I don't know if it was left brain, right brain, but I could listen to a podcast and read at the same time. I've since lost that. I just tried to do it the other day when I was reading a long report and like I couldn't stay focused. But But that was like for 3 years I was doing that, just reading reports every day and listening to podcasts, because if I didn't have something to listen to, I thought I was going to go crazy. It's just like, I can't do it. It's like dead silence. I'm reading like 400 pages a day. I need something, and it's boring too. It's like the worst reading ever. It's like the most dry government. Like the test sample did achieve the prescribed rate of change. It's like, I can't do this for 500 pages.
That's impressive.
Right?
Oh yeah.
I will, I'm also an avid knitter, so it's something I can do while I knit. Because it's basically like trying to knit and watch TV at the same time. It's just easy to do it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah. All right, let's see. So we got another question from the Adam Mata, and Adam would like to know, do you have any learned from experience advice you would like to give? I mean, that's a very broad question.
It is broad.
Broad.
I could tell you all my parenting advice if you'd like.
Right?
But
Measure twice, cut once.
there
Exactly.
you go.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah.
That's what came up in chat. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that one from experience.
No, I don't know that one from experience either. That just seemed like common sense to me.
I was listening to one of your other shows, kind of talking a little bit about, experience and things you picked up at the table. So I was thinking about this, a parallel question of like, what's a thing you've picked up? And one of the ones that's definitely come to mind for me is like, if there is behavior going on in a game, you need to take it out of game to address it. You cannot change people through in-game consequence. It doesn't work. And like, I've never had that work, and I've had people preach it to me like, no, if you have faith in the game, the true game,
In the heart of the game.
you're playing, the one I'm playing, this is the true game, and when you do it right and there are in-game consequences, people will always act in a logical, rational, and predictable fashion. It's like, no, this is just not true.
No.
It's so much easier to just go like, hey, we're all playing the same game together, let's get our, if we have not had a session 0, which, sometimes works out and sometimes it does not, obviously, just sit down and go, hey, like, we're all buying in on, say, a superhero game, and this has been a fun time. We're playing a 4-color superhero game. Your character trying to snap the neck of every single criminal they come across isn't really hitting the 4-color vibe we're going for. And
I just watched The Boys, and I need to do this.
But Snappo the Blood Taker must do this. Okay, I understand that's what your character would do, but hear me out. You choose what you play. All gaming starts with a certain amount of metagaming, because you're choosing what you're playing. You're creating your character. You discuss it beforehand. It's not like, I've created it. My character's out of control. Oh god, the sheet's getting up.
No.
It's got a knife. No, it's a sheet. It is your lens into that world, but it is not, some separate entity that's going to go do whatever it wants. You make choices with that. And so, good metagaming is, I think, the thing I've learned.
Yeah.
Good outside of gaming will make gaming way better.
I think that's great advice. Yeah.
And that thin veneer that people try to use over the top of that, of it's what my character would do,
Oh,
to be a trying to keep the swearing to a minimum, to be a not nice person in game, to be like, oh, that's what my character would do. No, but it's what you're making your character do. So
If that's what your character would do, your character sucks.
right, and we should find a new character for you.
yeah.
I think something I've learned in that vein as a DM is that it's really easy to self-criticize as a DM, because you've got all the answers, or at least you think you have all the answers. You have the book, you have your notes, you have whatever. And like, you can tell when you make mistakes, like, oh, I gave away a little too much information. I didn't give enough information. No, they're going down the wrong path. I fucked up. I'm dumb. I'm bad at this. The thing is that players don't see that. They're not reading from the book. They're watching a movie. And like, they will skip over plot holes just because they don't see them. They'll just walk right over them and won't even trip up on it. So I think my biggest advice for like DMs is like, just don't self-criticize too much. The players are going to tell you if they think there's a plot hole, because they're going to think it's like, that he wants us to focus, or he or she or they want us to focus on this particular thing. That's why it's a plot hole. And they'll let you know if it's a plot hole. Otherwise, they'll just keep on rolling over it, and they'll think it's great. Like, I remember doing one session, I was like, oh my, I messed everything up. This sucks. I suck. Everything about this sucks. They probably think I'm horrible. And I'm like packing up my stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do next session. And then somebody's like, that was really fun. I'm really, I wonder what we're gonna do next. Like, I thought all that stuff was kind of interesting coming together. I was like, you did? It's like, you did? That's great. Yeah, no, I really planned that.
It can really change the direction of a game too, by asking your players for how they felt about the session too.
Yeah.
With that, especially when you're feeling you got the self-criticism going for you at the moment. So yeah, that is something I learned the hard way too.
Yeah, I had my my one friend. We did a recording for where I was running Pathfinder, and I was trying to get an idea of what I wanted to do for his character, and we're just going and going, and I'm like going, I only have like footnote of notes. And a lot of it for me, the rest of the time, it's just like, it's coming off the top of my head. I'm wing nutting the whole thing. And at the end, he's like, that was pretty good. He says, I had a lot of fun with it. I'm like going, you did? I'm like, he's like, yeah, it wasn't as like serious as some of the other stuff you ran before. And I'm like going, run serious? I'm like, hey, whatever. What? I'm sorry.
I think, I think lived experience stuff is, one of the things that I would always say too is like, if you're not having fun at the table, don't be afraid to tell either like the DM or your entire group, like, this is what I need, or this is what I need to do, or even just to step away and say, this is not the appropriate group for me, and I'm really sorry, and it sucks having to do that. I actually had to do that with my home group because it just was not an enjoyable experience for me. I think though, the way that I see it is that you have to be willing to do that, because you don't want to play a game that you hate, because it's just going to make you not enjoy any of it, like any aspect of it. You're going to just dread going, you're going to dread hanging out with these people, you're going to dread the next 3 hours of your life, and that's not what this is all about.
Yeah, that hits close to home for me. That's a recent thing that happened. But I guess a more lighter note for something that I've learned after recording for shows and everything, for playing games that you're not doing a show for. It's good to record your play session. Because especially for the DM, it's good to record your play session and go back and listen to it. And you might pick out things that the player said that you didn't catch in the moment when you're thinking or looking in the book. Record and use that as a refresher for you.
It's awesome.
Yeah, talking about home games and people, we have one of our younger players at our table. He's the son of the GM who's running we're playing my home game is a Fallout game, so he's playing the Brotherhood of Steel kind of a character. So he is just, he's really sticking to this character, and he's really, he's like, look, this is what the Brotherhood would do, and this is how I do it, and it's like, and it's kind of like going against the whole, the source of the whole group, and we're all like, okay, no, but that's you're with us, and you're the team, with the team. And our last session, we got into this big. We all talked about it. I mean, we all came out and talked about it. It was like, it wasn't like we were role playing more than anything, and it was just like, some really really good stuff. And we were like, look, it's like, how can we trust you if you're going to go and tell the Brotherhood of this stuff? And, and that's, my character was the one who was basically saying, look, you betray us, I'm going to kill you. And, there's nothing personal in that, but, once you betray the team and then, you've ruined it, or you haven't ruined it, you just shot your own self in the foot, kind of a thing.
So what did you tell him in character? Because this was obviously table talk. You were threatening this kid.
That was totally in character. I mean, and honestly, he's a really great kid. I mean, he is. He's been with us for about a year or two now, and his dad's like, we'll ask him. We'll ask his dad. I'm like, hey man, did we go too much with him today? He's like, no, he's fine. He's handling himself. He's got it. And he understands what he's doing, and he understands that character, and it's just so, it's just like, oh my god, you actually see him, and he's just like, I don't trust you because I know you're gonna kill me eventually. I'm like, as long as you don't betray the group, I won't kill you. And that's how we left it. And he's like, oh, okay. So, but it was some really good stuff that we had that day.
Is that using the Mephidius system for Fallout?
I think it is. I know we're for skill rolls we're using 2d20s. So and
That sounds right.
I think that is. I've been eyeing that book and a couple other Mephidius products for a while now. I'm very tempted.
Oh yeah, that one's a lot of fun. I mean, especially if you got, if you've ever played the games, like Fallout 3, 4. I mean, it's just you're just pulling from that information, and it's like, I have a character. My character's he's like the medic of the group. I call him Doc. But he's more like the Doc Brown kind of a character, and I just say he has a PhD in chaos because half the time, like, just let's go with, okay, you know what? I'm going to pay you to do this, and I'm going to sit back and watch. So, and it's just the way I play that guy, and he's, everybody else has their own characters, and half the time, I think we have one guy who plays a spaceman, and we have another guy that plays a cowboy, and I swear we have Toy Story going on here with me being Back to the Future, so it's just like, okay, so
that's pretty amazing.
yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think it's awesome to see when resolutions like that work out in game and in character, as opposed to like having to step out, because a lot of people don't, and this is, I guess, my point. A lot of people don't accept criticism very well, especially if you're just being like, "Hey, don't be a dick." So when you're giving criticism, be constructive, but also receive constructive criticism well, because I've definitely been in those situations where somebody will be like, "Hey, this thing you didn't really work for me," and I would like have to take a moment and be like, they're not attacking me or what anything about me. They're just like telling me their feelings. And so being constructive and playing along with someone is a better plan than like being passive aggressive for the rest of the game and hoping they'll quit or something, and I've definitely had the players who never really take the suggestion, and so once you say, "Hey, can you do this?" and then they're like, "No, I'm doing just fine. You're a jerk," Giving and accepting that constructive criticism is useful.
Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with having the ability to ask for what you need at the table, and then also like both as a player, but like if you're not like, if something isn't going in a way that you feel it's working for you, you need to be able to give constructive feedback, and it it doesn't have to be like, this game sucks and you all suck and I hate you, like that's a good way to get kicked away from the table. But being able to say like, hey, this is what's not working for me, and here's why. Can we try X, Y, or Z to change it? And also like being able to receive that type of stuff, whether you're a player that's, I don't want to say causing a problem, but maybe it is a problem player at your table. Like, you're going to have those people that are not going to take that feedback well, and they're just going to be like, screw you all, I'm out of here. But you're all going to get so much more out of it if you're able to have those discussions openly and not take insult to everything that everybody says.
I think I had a conversation like that once. So I was in a Pathfinder game that got double whammied by the GM having a baby and then COVID. It was like 1-2. And while he had a baby, he didn't really want to mess around with like doing stuff online. He didn't have time to learn how to like set up things online. But before that happened, through a kooky and crazy series of events, we ended up in what he described as like a year-long dungeon. And after like 2 months of it, like we were at a bar, we were kind of talking after we were playing. I was like, man, you know, I like the dungeon so far, but I'm telling you right now, if we do the year of this, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to take it. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. He's like, oh, really? You're not like enjoying it? I'm like, it's like fun. It's been fun, but I'm telling you right now, a year from now, I'm not gonna enjoy this.
I love a
he's
good
like,
dungeon crawl, but a year-long one seems awfully long.
Because, he was describing, like, we did something weird with, like, a portal. We ended up going into, like, this huge uber mega crypt thing. And he had said it was going to be, like, I don't know, some massive thing. So, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then 2 months in, I was like, it's interesting. Or, no, it was interesting. Now I'm getting worried about, like, being in here forever. But, yeah, he took that criticism well. And I was like kind of afraid to talk to him about it, but he took that criticism well. And I want to say 2 sessions later, he kind of basically what he probably assumed was going to be 8 months from then. We just kind of like jumped in, like, you know, we went around a corner and there was like a new door, and we kind of like had an exit strategy. So I mean, I think getting that kind of braveness to bring it up and kind of putting it in a polite way. And also, too, it helped that we both had like a couple of drinks at that point, so it was a lot easier to bring it up, and he took the criticism a lot better. But yeah, I think the hardest part is kind of like bringing it up, and also bringing it up in a way that's kind of respectful, because it is, you know, a piece of them. Like when you're a DM or a GM or a director or whatever it's called in the game, you know, it is a piece of you that if you feel very exposed. And sometimes when people don't take it the right way or they don't like it, it can feel like they don't like something you created, and they don't like you in some way. So it could be a difficult topic to get around.
And I'm not saying that gamers are socially awkward, generally speaking, but it can be very difficult to broach that topic with somebody, especially if they're your friend, if you like them to continue liking you. It can be difficult to, you know, try to figure out how to say it, or even say it at all. You might be afraid to say it, but I think it is a skill to build up, to learn to communicate with your players, your fellow players and your GM or whatever.
Okay, let's see. So the next question we are going to move on to is from Lord Richter, and he would like to know, what is your style of looting, and how do you divide party treasure?
What party treasure?
Yeah, exactly. I should mention that I usually play the rogue.
Right?
You know, depending on what it is, it's usually if we have to, we loot the body, check everything out, take what we can carry, and then move forward. You know, I'm gonna go back to this was my once a month Sunday game. You know, I ended up, you know, I found a pit boy. We found an extra pit boy, and I went, that's mine. And I just went ahead and grabbed it and just went, click, it's mine. And they're like, well, we just need, okay, yeah, but it's mine still, and it's on. Oh, no, you're not gonna
okay, that's nice.
That's nice, but it's mine.
Yeah. And it's like, well, can I get, here's the tape. There you go. All right.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because I'm usually the type of person that if I'm GMing or DMing, I usually try to make it so it's relatively fair for everybody involved. It's not super hard to figure out, like, oh, you could use this item, this person could use that item. I try to make it so it's kind of easy in that way. As a player, I try to do things evenly as possible, but sometimes there's like, you see an item, it's like, I really want that item. It's kind of, we all know that's my item. It happened, I'm playing a Curse of Strahd game, and it's an Eberron Curse of Strahd game. So we came across, everybody had a magical item, and I was like looking through some stuff, and they found like these pair of like dueling pistols that were magical. And like somebody's like, oh, you know, I'll take these. I was like, I kind of want those. I'm kind of a pistol person, you know. I can grab those. It's like, oh, well, there's 2 of them. It's like, I think both of those are for me. It's like, I think 2 pistols would look really good on my character. You can have it if you want. I'm just saying, it'll look pretty good on my character, though.
Yeah, it's important. What does the mini look like after you've added those pistols onto it? Is my mini cooler
Very
looking than
important.
yours? Then it's mine.
Yeah.
So I ran Dungeons and Dragons Adventures League for like 3.5 years. Anyway, so yeah, it has an automatic, like they don't even are, it's not there. There isn't any. Oh, how do you want to do this? It's like a video game auto split. If you get 12 gold and there's 4 of you, each of you gets 3. Done. So that was kind of nice because it removed all the argument, and if there was a magic item, it went to whoever had the least amount of magic items, and then they could trade for it if they wanted. It just removed all of the argument from things and the animosity that can run into it, especially in organized play because it's strangers typically, or people who may know each other's faces but aren't really friends, so that that certain level of camaraderie may not be there, where they're like, oh, it's okay if you have that. I'd like it too, but if you want it, that's fine. That was not there so much, where they're like, that should be mine. It really got rid of a lot of that, so that was great. But later on, when they started introducing new rules and people could take their stuff and trade it to their other characters, then everything got really sticky, because then they're like, now I want everything. And so I liked it to begin with, and then things got weird. And in home play, we have a lot more of that same thing, like where we're all friends here, and so we want the game to be fair with each other. So, oh, is this going to be better for you? That's great. Take that, because I'm going to get something sooner or later.
I'm very much the last game when I played a rogue was very much like, oh, that treasure's mine, and that treasure's mine, and that treasure's mine, and you definitely did not see me take that treasure. But then it's funny because I play any other character, and I'm like, oh no, we split everything 50-50. We each get an equal portion.
I've only played one rogue in a game, and I was a cool rogue, and I split everything just the way it was supposed to be. I didn't steal nothing. I think that's partially just I play Mass Effect games. I've played a lot of those games before, and I subconsciously, consciously, whatever, I always pick the Paragon thing,
Yeah.
and it bleeds over into other games like Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, I don't want to be a bad guy. I'm a good guy. Even when I am the bad guy,
I'm a bad guy. It does not mean I'm a bad guy.
Bad guy, yeah.
I think I honestly have hit a point where I'm just like, when it comes to dungeons and accounting, my brain just doesn't want to. I'm like, how much gold is there? How many things to buy? You know what? This is why I keep playing monks and spellcasters, because I don't want to bother with any of that.
Yeah.
Take all the magic weapons, whatever. It's fine. I'm deadliest thing alive with just my bare hands, and now I don't have to worry about going through.
Don't need armor.
Arbitration,
Yeah.
Okay, let's get out the Parley Pro rules. We need to have a meeting about this loot and make sure it's all properly distributed. So I think my method has been to avoid it, mostly. Yeah.
Say that now, but Fizzban introduced a monk-specific magical item. I think gives you extra key points. So now you're gonna be in the mix now. You're gonna be in the mix.
Oh man. Okay, but listen, who the heck there is gonna argue with me about it unless there's 2 monks in the party? And I'm playing the Shadow Monk, so eventually there's just 1 monk in the party and nobody knows where they went. So
There you go. Yeah, I think for me, I keep ending up in one. I mostly DM, so I usually end up in one shots, guest appearances on other shows, or a very narratively driven campaign that doesn't have loot. So I don't really have a lot of experience with loot in recent years. So.
The loot is the friends you make along the way. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you ever have the people who are just like, no, we can't come to an agreement, just roll off for it.
There you go.
Die, roll it, whoever got the highest one. fate wanted you to have that.
Exactly. Believe in the heart of the dice.
That's right.
I did have a ranger who, regardless of where they were, what the loot was, if there was a dagger in that loot, it was hers. And so by the time we ended the campaign, she literally had like a bandolier of daggers and then like a holster belt of daggers, and it was like I made a mini of her on Hero
Look
Forge.
like a pin cushion.
Yeah. And there's like daggers stuck in the floor.
What do you mean my encumbrance is too high from daggers?
Daggers.
Well,
How many daggers is that?
she collected them because like she would have 2 silver ones, and she would have 2 that were like +1, and she would have 2 that were, you know,
This
so
one's
they
good
were-
for opening bottles, and this
Yeah,
one's good.
they all had their purposes.
So interesting story. This is because I study some older stuff. I believe in OD&D, which is the original Dungeons and Dragons, and like first edition. It used to be a lot worse for loot because loot would directly correlate with experience.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to level up, you had to get loot. Like it would be painfully slow to level up through just killing monsters. But I think it was like 1 XP per gold brought back into town.
Yep.
So that would be the real fight. It's like, no, I want that magical item. It's worth
Right.
15,000 gold. That's mine. I want to level up now.
It's like
How
the
about
video
old school?
games that you don't get experience unless you get the last shot. Like you're the verified kill shot. You're like, why am I not leveling up?
Oh, yeah.
Hoard that stuff.
So you had the rogues trying to steal everything, and then you had wizards trying to steal everything, because at that point, making magical items also took experience points. So the crafting system required experience points. They would be losing experience points all the time, and they'd be trying to recoup for the party. So it caused a lot of drama.
I can remember
no-
back in AD&D, they were AD&D in 2nd edition. They had a whole bunch of the extra books, which were like, hey, you want a rogue? Okay, here's a subclass of rogue, which I started playing a bounty hunter at the
Nice.
time. So, speaking of characters holding so many weapons, my character had a bastard sword. My character had this. My character had a longbow, short bow. He had daggers up one side and on the other. He had short swords. And everybody looked at him and was like, "What are you, a fighter?" I'm like, no, I'm just a bounty hunter. I'm a thief. And they're like, they all just went. I'm like, no, okay, fine.
Yeah, we had a barbarian that was afraid of magic items back in an AD&D game a long time ago, and we had to hide the magic items from him because he would break them.
Yeah, that
gain
was
experience.
Yeah, that was a system thing. They had to break magical
Out-leveled
items.
us all. Yeah.
Like, there are so many weird things about earlier editions of Dungeons & Dragons where it basically puts everybody at odds. You have a barbarian in the party, you gotta hide the magical item. Because, look, they have to break.
Does that include the wizard? You just like dressing him up as like a hobo or something?
Like, 3rd edition, there was, I think it was the Forsaker barbarian who's like, I forsake all magic or whatever. And so, yeah, they were like, no, don't heal me. Don't do any of your weird wizard tricks. I hate all of you. But, like, they get these huge, like, attribute bumps, and they can self-heal and a bunch of other really broken, great stuff. Like, it's like, wow, this is really cool. I think it's contentious in like almost every party you'll be in, but if that's not that party, wow, it's gonna be real good.
There was one paladin subclass introduced in 3rd edition that was its alignment was chaotic evil, and some of the tenets are basically you can't ever do anything not for yourself. You can't hang out with people that is like basically better than like a true neutral character. So anybody that's good, you can't hang out with them. If you hang out with them, you lose all of your powers. And it's like you only respect force. Like if like the only reason you would let anybody tell you what to do is because they can like kill you. So like I'm just reading through some of this stuff. I'm like, why? What DM would be like, yes, Yes, you can play this character. This is the perfect character. I can't remember what it's called. I remember making a video on it, and I was like, this is the campaign killer, because you're going to introduce this into a game, and nobody's ever going to want to play with you again.
I have this subclass called Lord of Edges.
Nah.
See, what are they going to be like? Oh, ooh, they get
This is the
bonuses when
absolute
alone.
worst.
Speaking
They
of
can
paladins, speaking of paladins, back in the day, my first group, we had a paladin, and I was playing a ranger and a rogue, so we were all playing 2 characters each, and my rogue started discovering poison, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna start using poison." And the DM at the time, my friend, he was like, "Are you sure about that? We have a paladin. He's not gonna like that." I'm like, "You won't know." And it was just like every time I'd be shooting an arrow, he'd be like firing off a shot real quick, just dipping it in his pocket, and then the paladin never caught on. But the guy who was playing the character was like, "I can't believe you're doing that. I really can't believe you're doing that."
I found the name of the paladin. It's called the Paladin of Slaughter. So you can imagine.
But you can't
What its
have
intended
slaughter
purpose is.
without laughter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Oh, jeez. Somebody in chat, Lord Richter, was just saying, since the beginning, there have always been classes that make great NPCs but lousy PCs.
Right. There was like one cleric. It was introduced in Ravenloft, and it's like they're very powerful. They're a very powerful cleric class, but if they leave the church, they lose all of their powers. So it's
like the physical church, or like
there's like a physical place where it's like anchorite. It's called like the Path of the Anchorite or something like that. And if you ever leave where you are anchored, you just lose all your power.
So could you like have a wagon that you're anchored to, or does it have to like be like a brick and mortar?
I wonder.
All right,
To
this
make that
puzzle
viable.
game, everybody, you gotta find a way to bring adventure to me.
Right?
Keep winning.
Bring straw
Eventually, I'll
here.
get this
Bring him
right
here.
spell, and I'll just start, hooking up places, and so I'll just have like a window between worlds.
Right.
I'll sit
You're
in
like
my
rolling
invincible
the
bubble.
wagon.
You guys go out and adventure. I'll just be here waiting for you.
You're rolling the wagon into Strahd's castle, and he's like, "The hell are you doing? Hang on, we're setting up."
Speaking of bad classes, there's also like the Candelier. It was a wizard subclass, and you could make magical candles. They worked
The
like
Candlecaster?
scrolls. Yeah,
I
Candlecaster.
remember.
They work like scrolls, except way worse and more impractical.
But they smelled wonderful.
Yes. I remember I
Sounds
found
wicked.
that one, and I started reading through. I was like, this is the most impractical thing I've ever. It even had rules if there was a breeze. Like if it was a breeze, it'd be hard to light the candles, so you'd have to roll with like a certain disadvantage. And I was really like, why? Why would anybody play?
And if it's
class?
raining, you're just screwed.
But I
man.
love those old prestige classes because it was like there was no like rhyme or reason to how good they'd be. Because you'd get something like the Candlecaster, who's just like, I'm gonna light my candle. Look, it did 2 potions at the same time. It's like, wow, that's amazing. That's like a whole 2 actions at once. And then the other one's like a druid, and it's just like, so I turn into a slime. I'm immune to everything. I can summon like a billion monsters. Also, I can just digest you by touch. It's like, so you're a superhero, and I have a candle. And
I
then,
make real good
like,
candles.
it's just all over the place. It's such a mess.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, this is probably a great time for us to pause and take a break. So we are going to do that, give everybody a chance to refill their drinks, let the dog out, hashtag free the pee, and all of that good stuff. And we will be back in somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes. If you have any questions that you think of during the break, please feel free to drop them in chat, and we will make sure that we get to them after the break. And also during the break, stick around for the first, like 30 seconds to a minute. We've got a video from Adam's group, actually. So check that out, and we will see you as soon as we come back.
From the indie podcast creators that brought you Microphones and Monsters, A Fool's Quest, Ethereal Embrace, and other hit podcasts, comes a new actual play podcast. DreadTech Incorporated. Set in the futuristic cyberpunk setting of Dark City, our 3 DDA special agents knits with his drone blip. Sylvia Rivera, the shape-shifting social media icon, and Zaus, the Zoog heavy gunner, take on the evil corporation Yogsonic Dynamics in an attempt to bring the heinous actions of the corporation into the public spotlight. But will our heroes be prepared for the unworldly supernatural horror that lurks below the corporation's front? Follow DreadTech Incorporated wherever you get your podcast to find out.
Hey everybody, we are back from break. Hope you all had a good one. And yeah, we're going to dive right back in with some questions. Let's see. So the next one that we have is from, from Gorm. Question, how do you balance your time? Personally, I have a full-time job, full-time family, and full-time podcast. Tips or advice?
You got to make your family part-time. I think that's the first
Yeah,
move.
that's it. That's it. Something's got to go, and it's got to be the family.
Got to get that part-time family going. I've had some issues with this, and I think the best thing that you can do is setting up a calendar. It doesn't even have to be like, a minute-by-minute calendar, but just like what you're going to be doing on the day. So me and my wife, we share a calendar. We have a general idea of like evenings, if we have something planned for the evening, whether that is date night or she has something like, she has a book club she goes to on Wednesdays and stuff like that. So I know that I'm open on Wednesdays for like D&D shenanigans or whatever. And then, I put all my games in there so she knows like, oh, he's got that. I can, do something I want to do, or I can, hey, can you move that? I wanted to go out for a movie or go to dinner. And then, you can just see everybody's schedules, and it's a lot easier to coordinate.
Yeah, usually.
I just got divorced.
Like I said, part-time family.
No, not really. I actually didn't get into all of this until after I got divorced. But yeah, like Ryan, everything goes on a calendar.
Yeah, we're pretty flexible, me and my wife, and it's just us and animals. But I got myself a board, a Kanban board. It's blurry, but I set myself tasks for what I could do. So I don't really have a calendar, but I have tasks that I can do like in the amount of time in the days that I can work, and I just do those cards. So it's rewarding when I didn't have a board or any kind of a planning tool. I would finish a task, go to the next one, finish the task, go to the next one, and end up neglecting things, and that wasn't working out.
I would say like 2 things that come to mind for me, at least, because I do game jams, and those are always like, limited time crunch kind of deals, is to not only just like, pace yourself, like don't try to do too much too fast, because a lot of times I've done, I've done some like independent film stuff and other things where it's just so easy to throw yourself at your creative task so hard that you are inevitably going to hit super bad burnout. And then I've had lots of times where just disasters come up, and like I was just doing a game jam. It was a romance game jam, and I made a game called Champions of the Heart. I was really happy with it. But there was also a isekai, like, otherworld game jam going on that I really wanted to finish up. And I ended up getting ill right in the middle of it, and I just had to say, okay, I can't finish this. If I try to, I'm going to make myself much worse, like, as far as illness goes. And just go, okay, I'm going to just have to forgive myself on not being able to complete what I had, because life happens. So balance, yeah, is important. Pace yourself, but just forgive yourself, because eventually disaster strikes and you're going to have something throw you off schedule,
Go for it. I can see you're waiting for it over there.
I usually just tell my wife what's going on. I'm like, hey, look, I got this going on, this weekend. Or, we got a gaming session coming up. And she's like, okay, no problem. And she works like 3 12-hour shifts for her job. So on the days that I know she's going to be at work, those are the days I can knock out, if I got my friends or if I got anybody who wants to do podcast work on those days, I'm like, hey, look, I got X, Y, and Z days, or I got this weekend, we can do that. But usually my Sunday games, there's like, we do it once a month, and then we all have, it's pretty much, everybody has to figure out, okay, so what day is good for you? And then we just have to go through every single day, and it's like, all right, let's post up, like, okay, here's the list, and let's vote on the day. And we're like, okay, so like everybody's there, and then, as the saying goes, shit happens. And it's like, okay, well, there's times I haven't been able to make it, and there's other times that other people haven't been able to make it. We just, we just try to make things work as much as we can.
So I guess my answer would be depends on what decade I was living in, because when I was in my like teens and early 20s, caffeine and I could go for days. Like I even saw in chat sleeplessness. Yeah, you didn't need to sleep back then. And now that I've gotten older, I'm just like, oh, I'm so tired all the time. So I would definitely not give the same answer today that I would have given back then. But definitely having a schedule and knowing what you have to get done by a certain time. Like if you're just playing to play, that's one thing. But if you're like doing it for yourself for money, or you're doing freelance work or whatever, especially when it's freelance work or you're hired by somebody else, that's got to take priority over your home game or the thing that you want to do for yourself and stuff like that. So a lot of the time, at least for me, I have to set priorities, what comes first. And then my wife and I both have our own stuff that we do, and so it really works out as far as we are, and we don't have kids, so that's a whole bunch of time right there that I'm like, yay.
Yeah, I on the flip side of that, am a single parent, so I joke about the divorce, which because you kind of have to, but ultimately what it boils down to is like my kid's schedule takes priority over everything, and like anything that comes as a parent, that has to take priority over everything. She played a sport in the fall, so I was at her games every Tuesday and Thursday, and occasionally Wednesdays when they threw those ones in, and then just had to make, give myself deadlines for, Tales from the Tavern had to be up on YouTube by this day, and it had to be ready. It didn't have to be, but that was my personal deadline. And usually it was because I wanted to give myself some wiggle room. So like, I'm one of those people that if I set myself an earlier deadline, I'm going to achieve it better than I would have if I was like scrambling to do it at the last minute. And then I am lucky in the fact that I actually have, so if you were to look up the Tales from the Tavern podcast on Spotify, I actually have video podcasts, so I only need to edit it once instead of twice, because I can edit for video and then post it in both locations. And so I upload it to YouTube and I publish it to YouTube, and then I upload it to, I do everything through Anchor, and I upload it to Anchor, and then I schedule it out for when I want it to publish. And so That's my other tip, is like use schedulers where you can. Like if you know that if I get this done by Wednesday, but it doesn't need to release until Sunday, like then get it done by Wednesday, and then you don't have to worry about it for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Or like schedule your tweets, or schedule, anything that you can do to like schedule some of that stuff out is such a godsend, honestly, because when you do have the time to do it, you can kind of sit down and bang out your checklist, and then you're not stressed over it the whole time. That's what works for me.
Good one.
Yeah, the whole scheduling tweet thing is like, that gets really handy sometimes. Okay, let's see. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to add to that before we move on to the next question?
I think so.
All right. So Nico from A Fool's Quest wanted to know, around the table, do you prefer GMing or playing a character?
But GMing, you get to play so many characters.
Yeah, right.
So there's my answer.
I usually like playing characters because that's where my mindset is, and I'm always like trying to find I'll find something that where, depending on what game it is, it's like, we played the Star Trek RPG, a couple sessions a while ago, and then I was like, what would be cool? I'm like, what if I did a Klingon doctor? And then just rolled with that. I had so much fun with that character. And then I played another one who was, you get to play two different characters. And the other one was an ensign who was a helmsman, and he was like the total surfer guy. So I played that as him as well. So he's like, I had two total ends of different characters, and I had a lot of fun with both of them. So it was, characters for me. So.
For me, it's both. I like GMing more, but I like to play, to have some time to just focus on one thing and not have to worry about everything. So I guess playing a character is more downtime for me, and I get to just focus on just that. So both, kind of.
I'd say both too, honestly. I think they fulfill like different kinds of things, right? Like when you narrate a game, it can feel very fulfilling on a very creative level. Because if I have an idea for a whole setting, it's not like I'm like, oh man, this is a really awesome setting. How can I play this as a single character?
Right.
Unlike, I mean, some games are pretty out there, like, okay, it's a Rifts type game. I can just pack in this whole dimension as my backstory and build a character and run with it. But like, then there's just the times where it's like, if you want it to be a little bit more of the, fulfilling to self, or, a bit of escapism, I find it much more comfy to get into some character's shoes and see what they would think and what they would do in a situation, and have the fun of seeing that what if versus, the whole godlike create all the things and give them to people to do.
I definitely want to say both, because I get different things from doing each one. If I had to choose, like, gun to my head, I had to choose, I might choose GM, because there is that creative. It's like, I'm not good at painting or drawing. I don't have the attention span to like create a whole book. But, I think I am okay at this one particular thing, this role play and creating a world, and, kind of going through scenarios. And to me, that's like kind of a form of expression. I'm not, did a little theater as a kid, but I don't do that as an adult. And that kind of fills that niche where I can play a couple different characters. It's all coming from me. It's all my idea. I'm enforcing the rules. I'm doing all this stuff. And that playing is super fun. But also, I think if I had to choose one, I think I'm going to go DM, GM, or whatever it's called in any particular game.
I am a forever player.
Really?
I am. I've tried DMing. It was a horrific experience.
No.
Oh no!
It was
What
really,
happened?
really bad. I had a very, very unsupportive group.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was really bad, and I never looked back. I was like, I am never doing that again, ever. So of course now I have a group of people that are like, just start really small, and I'm like, maybe I'll try. I found this really fun looking little system called Wizards and Wagons. It's a little D6 system, one pager,
Nice.
and I was like, all right, like I could imagine running that through like Oregon Trail setting. And you know, it's fun because all the character creation is done with a D6. Like it, you know, it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, you roll a D6 and it picks the type of cowboy hat you have, or a different D6, you know, determines what, you know, what you say either at the beginning or the end of all of your sentences. Like it might be like, y'all look here, or something like that, you know, at the end of every sentence or something like that. And so yeah, so it was just one of those things that I'm like, it's really taken me a lot to even get to the point to consider doing it again, because it was that bad.
One pagers are a great gateway to doing that, because it's so loose. Like it's literally one page. You don't have to remember much. It's not going to last forever. It's going to last like most one pagers, depending on how you play, could last anywhere from like an hour to like 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
So if you like that one, there's one that I've played. It's called Sexy Battle Wizards. It is.
I've seen that one played.
Very, very fun, and it's you know, it's all about just being like almost like I don't know the proper form of anime, but like everything's kind of just overdone.
Yep.
And everything is just like everybody's beautiful and like overwhelmed by their sense of beauty. I do have a self-made one that if you want to borrow, and it is about too many Nicolas Cages in
Oh my God, I heard
too many
about
places.
that one. I think somebody told me about that one.
I've shared it with a very select few people because it's you know, not, I don't think it's groundbreaking anyway. But basically everybody plays a version of Nicolas Cage from one of his movies, and they're all trying to get back to his backyard yurt in like in LA so they can like come back to be a singular Nicolas Cage. If you check his Wikipedia article, there's a part where it says that somebody asked him if he was like, what kind of actor are you? Are you like a performance actor? Are you this kind of actor? Are you character actor? Are you I can't remember what it's like they become the character and they stop. They don't
the
stop.
method actor.
Method.
Yeah.
He's like, I am a nouveau shamanic actor, and everybody, the person interviewing him is like, okay. So I took that quote, and then I was like, all right, well, he's nouveau shamanic. That means he's magic, and he has to use some form of magic to become his characters. And the whole kind of inside joke is that all of his characters are the same, and he's doing all this prep work. It's basically
That's
all
how
just
he does
Nicolas
so many
Cage.
movies.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah, he just plays himself. I mean, there is a movie coming out this year where he is just Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage.
That's funny.
So I might have.
I want that one page. Yeah, I want that game.
Yeah, I might have to. I've been building up. I need to like do some artwork or something. So it's kind of nice, you know. So it's got a little classy, and I want to put it on itch.io at some point. I gotta build up steam for that.
When you do, so every other Saturday we do a stream on my channel where like we get to play something we've never like played before or play very seldom. If you would come run that for us, that would be amazing.
I would not mind. I've run it once on my podcast on Dice Populi, and it was maybe the wildest game I've ever played in my life.
I mean, I'm just saying we're going to be doing a fundraiser again this year for Extra Life. So if you would like to participate,
yeah, maybe I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that'll be coming up again in July again of this year. We did it last year, raised $1,000. So, yeah, gonna do.
I have another one.
So yeah,
I have another one I'm working on right now. It's called Gabagools, and you play a gangster. You play a gangster zombie, and the only way to keep your humanity is by finding Gabagool, like Capicola. So that one I'm still working on. I haven't got all the zombies out of it yet. I just got to keep on working on it.
Yeah. Apache 1222 in chat just said, wasn't last year's where they did run the Sexy Battle Wizards? It is, yes. They ran that and they ran Kaiju Girls back to back. It was the best couple of hours on the internet, let me tell you.
I was about to just say, like, on that topic of, you know, GM versus player, I think it would be wrong to not mention there are games that have no GM.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
True, yeah.
GM-less gaming is a thing. I think that could be a good middle step between, you know, GMing and not GMing, as sometimes there is part-time GMing.
I have, where did I put it? I have it in one of my drawers somewhere. Anyway, a solo TTRPG too, and I'm like, maybe I'll work myself through that one. Like it was a Kickstarter, and so I was like, oh, like that might be a great way for me to at least kind of get the feel for story-ish type stuff. I've also sort of been dipping my toe into more like item and NPC creation. I got to work on a supplement last year with Plot Hooks, the Villagers D&D supplement. For anybody who's heard of that, that was a whole. I can't remember how many. We came up with over 20, I think, because there was probably like 10 of us, and we each came up with at least 2. And so that was all NPC creation, but, they're all like townsfolk, but each one of them is basically harboring some really dark secret. So there's the very powerful, political mogul in the city who also just happens to be a green dragon posing as a human. Or another one is like a woman who seems like this kindly old woman who runs the apothecary, but has this very strange interest in like families that are expecting children, and it's because she's a hag. So stuff like that. So
Gotta make pies somehow.
well, for that one, we actually created that. I wrote that one, and we actually created a whole new type of hag for that. So it wasn't quite as dark as a typical hag, but it was still pretty. It was still bad. So
for a moment there, I thought you were going to say we created a whole recipe.
Yeah,
for people who actually...
yeah, we did. We put it in there.
All right.
Yeah. So I've been sort of dipping my toe into that a little bit too, that's been a lot of fun, and has been a great way to sort of expand some of my my knowledge of how different game systems work. So that's been helpful for me too. But
nice.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So Gorm, we're going to backtrack for a second. This is kind of related to a previous question. Gorm said, as content creators and DMs, how do you fend off burnout? Take breaks.
Yeah.
It helps. I find that it's helpful if you're doing something you would enjoy doing if nobody was watching. If you reframe what you're doing. So like my wife, she at various points and is currently trying to like get her way into the Instagram game. And it's a little painful for her because, she's a little self-conscious. She doesn't necessarily she likes the idea of it, but she doesn't really like doing it, taking pictures of yourself. She doesn't like taking pictures of herself. So it's painful for her, and it's something that increases burnout. I make stupid memes just for the people that I know and send them out. And I would do it anyway to a certain extent. Would I necessarily do with all the production value of what I do for TikTok? Not necessarily, but I make memes anyway. So, and part of what helps with the burnout is like, there'll be occasionally some times where I'm like, I don't know about this one. This isn't that funny anymore. And then I'll make one that makes me laugh. I'm like, okay, it's all good. It's all good. That's probably the biggest help with the burnout is like, if I could make myself laugh with something I make. And there are sometimes I'm kind of happy sometimes that my wife is like living separately for training right now, because the amount of like weird cackling I do in my office would probably be like, what the hell are you doing up there? Like, you're just by yourself. Like, come on. But that helps. Like, frame it as something. Just make sure whatever you're doing is something that you would do if nobody was watching. And that can be difficult to frame it that way, but if you can frame it in your mind in that way, it helps out a lot.
Yeah. I guess breaks is we do publishing breaks, like schedule breaks, stuff like that, because you need some downtime. I'm still working, making other things, making the next season or something new. But having that break from releasing episodes for something, not having to make the new episode post on social media and stuff like that. Like, find breaks in things that you could do, but if you love what you're doing, then you're gonna keep doing stuff, but find ways to lessen your load.
Yeah, effort to outcome and figuring out how that looks for you seems like definitely a step you have to take at some point. I've got I've had some campaigns I was like, this is going really well, but the amount of note taking and like sheer amount of content I had to generate for it, it was just like, and this is great, and I can't run this anymore because I literally don't have the time to. I was running a My Hero Academia riff off of I think I was using Masterminds, and I had to like rewrite parts of the system and make it do more of the thing I wanted to do, and then I had to also like come up with an entire classroom worth of students, and that's like, okay, cool, so I just need to create around 30 or so kids. Yeah,
Oh no.
it's fine. It's fine. I leaned on my usual tool that helps me through these things, which is random generation. I am a huge
Yes.
proponent of using random generation to spur your creativity, and like, because just coming up with everything whole cloth, you'll just definitely burn out. And I managed to get a lot, and I want to come back and run that game one day. One day. I don't know when I'm going to have the like spoons to do it again, but I would love to, because I put a lot of effort in there, and I don't want it all to go to waste. But the sheer amount of stuff I had to come up with, like, oh yeah, just come up with enough of the school year that you're not going to fall apart in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's tough. That's real tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just effort to outcome. Lean onto the random charts and maybe do something that's a little simpler.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like work mitigation, like take it. Just because it's a shortcut doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
It can, if it saves you an hour and the results are basically the same, do the shortcut. Like save yourself, because you don't only have so much. You've only got so much, energy to burn. And you work on something small for an hour. All of a sudden, you've missed out on the big thing that people are actually going to notice.
Should we rock, paper, scissors for it?
Go ahead.
I mean, pretty much everyone's covered what my thoughts are, except for like, especially when you take something you love and you turn it into something you're doing maybe for income or something similar to it. I mean, maybe you're streaming for other people and not making money off of it like I do, but you're still doing it as kind of a more than just doing it for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have something else that you do for fun too.
Yeah.
And do that thing, even if it's similar or part of it, just don't make everything about just that.
Yeah.
You need that step away.
Yeah, the plan breaks thing, like for me, excuse me, tickle in my throat. Like I know already when the season finale of this show is going to be. I know when the season premiere is going to be. And I know there's going to be like a 3-week window between the two, because during that time I'm going to be prepping for 2 big fundraisers that I'm going to be doing like in back-to-back months, one in June and one in July. So, there's going to be a lot of prep work. So it's not like I'm not doing anything. It's just not going to be all visible to everybody until it actually happens. And a lot of that's like scheduling and coordinating and setting up donation links and, just all of that stuff that if you aren't a streamer, if you watch streams but you aren't a streamer, you don't necessarily think about happening in the background. And also too, starting to look at, I try to, especially for a show like this where I have 5 guests on at a time, I'm generally scheduling out at least a month or 2 in advance, because it just makes it so much easier that like I know these are the 5 people that I have, and again, all that stuff that happens behind the scenes in getting the stream all situated. So it's going to be a lot of that type of stuff, and that is still all stuff that I enjoy doing, and it's what I feel like helps me keep this stream going forward. But I also, like I mentioned earlier, I'm an avid knitter, I'm a mom, I have all this other stuff that is not even remotely related, or should I say mostly not even remotely related, because I'm currently knitting a dice bag. So you know, stuff like that.
It all leads back.
It does. It all leads back. Although this one actually was for somebody who won a giveaway for a fundraiser, so you know,
Nice.
It's all good. Yes, I would show it off, but it's literally just the bottom. It's like a square on the bottom. So,
Theater of the mind.
Right.
Imagine the dice bag.
right. This is it. It's right here. Yeah. So it's. I think that having those separate things that, you know, you can step away from it and come back to it, and that's what helps me.
I watch a lot of TV and movies.
Yeah, and I watch a
my
lot of
escape.
unrelated TV. Like
Yes, exactly.
the biggest thing that I have, I talk about it all the time because everybody knows I'm a big Gordon Ramsay fan, is literally like the background noise in my house is the uncensored Hell's Kitchen channel on Pluto TV.
Oh yeah.
Just the sound of just anger all the time. It's so relaxing.
It's so relaxing.
Anger and cooking.
Right? Lord Richter just said no TV or movie is unrelated, even Hell's Kitchen.
As someone that makes TikToks out of pretty much every form of movie or anything else I can find, that is true.
That is true.
Everything becomes content at a certain point. I've done like YouTube memes from like the early 2000s. I have done like Netflix movies, done Netflix TV shows. I think I've got something from like a game show. I've done stuff from game shows.
Yeah.
Even.
Always on
Family
point.
Feud.
Always.
Yeah, it's, you know, you just, where, you know, that's for the fun part too. It's like, oh, I've heard this series is funny. I will watch this entire series to see if there's one moment that I can get from it. And, you know, it's for me for the most part. And then like, oh, I'll, you know, take out like a notes app, like, all right, you know, like season 2, episode 3, haha moment could be D&D.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Next question comes from Shan Wolf. Hi, Shan. To the panel, what is everyone's favorite RPG? Such a loaded question.
There's so many good questions.
So
Yeah.
many good ones
Yeah.
out there.
I'm gonna phrase it like my all-time favorite. It's gonna be, I'm just gonna wimp out and say it might be the collective Dungeons and Dragons, because I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons so long. But recent new RPG I've been playing, inspired by Telluride, I bought Orbital Blues, which is their system. It's like a rules light space western system. It is so elegantly good at like for role play and just fun. I'm kind of obsessed about it. I even grabbed some. I had my first test game the other night, and I grabbed some people from TikTok that I've been wanting to like get to know a little bit better. And it ended up going so well. Just like, I don't even think these people individually knew each other. I actually had Rabbit, the GM from Telluride, on
Nice.
there. He was a player. I was the director, I think they call it. And it ended up just being an absolute blast of a game. And it maybe took about an hour, 2 or so of my, you know, preparation to get it going. And it just rolled from there. And it was amazing. Like, they were doing so much role play. There was a solid, like, out of the 2.5 hours we were playing, an hour of it was just role play of them going back and forth and conversating and exploring their characters. Hands down, one of the best tabletop RPGs I've played in the last year or so.
It's really good to know because it's like on my should I buy this list? And now I'll go get it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you want to hear it in action, check out the Telluride podcast, because they do a really nice job with it.
Nice.
It's good. It's good. I haven't gotten contact with the publisher. It's so good.
Nice.
I have to say mine is the new Fantasy Flight Star Wars
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Guide to the Galaxies. All the books that they have. It's just we started playing it, you know, when the books first came out, and I ended up getting into it and just loved it. And when we stopped doing it, I was like, yeah, can we go back?
Aw.
But yet we eventually went back and we started playing, you know, characters during the Clone Wars kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun to do. during that time. So it's like I actually got to play a full Jedi instead of like, a bounty hunter who was partially slash Jedi kind of a thing. So that was my favorite.
Did you ever play the West End Games one?
Yes, I did. I played that one a couple times. I didn't really compare to it. The Fantasy Flight version is more storytelling, and the dice just help tell that story.
Gotcha.
West Ends is a little bit more, it's got a little more dice rolls, a little more technical.
Crunchy.
Yeah, it's a little more crunchy. I enjoyed it the first time I played it. The second time I played it, I wasn't having too much fun because I think I picked the wrong kind of character for myself.
Gotcha.
So, it just really depended on, I think it depends on what kind of character you grab,
So I'll say for myself, I'm always looking for certain like holy grail games where I'm like, this has to exist, and if it doesn't exist, I'm gonna try to invent it. Isekai anime RPG stuff is something I'm a fanatic about. I actually held a RPG jam just a little bit ago. I got a few games, not too many. There were some really good ones though, but. So that one I've already explored a lot and made stuff myself, and I won't list that as my favorite game. But the other ones are, I'm always looking for a fighting shonen anime thing that can do something like Dragon Ball Z without completely falling apart. Haven't found it yet. There's something promising. I think there's a game called something like Friendship, Effort, Victory, and it looks pretty good, but it's powered by the apocalypse, and those games make my brain itch. There's nothing against them. It just, as a GM, it always seems to wear me out because I feel like I have too much go effort because I am not even allowed to roll dice and hide behind some dice rolls. It's like, no, just storytell for us constantly. Like, no, please fight this monster for 5 minutes so my brain can cool down and I can think about what's going to happen next. But the one game that did come out that I'm like, nope, this hit one of my like holy grail things was a good God game where you get to play deities. Godbound. I think it's Jeremy Crawford wrote it. It's an OSR type game, so some of the stats are a little hokey and old, but the actual new stuff put in for how it works is really great because you play characters who get to have words of creation, and so if you get the word of fire, it gives you a bunch of inherent things like I'm immune to fire, I can do some natural stuff where I can do some things, and then you get to collect select out gifts. So then you also will get weird and often very brokenly powerful stuff. You even get something called a Frey die where you just basically roll, and it's this is just damage you just do to mooks who are around for having to be in your godly presence, nearly by accident. So even the non-combat characters can easily take out normal people. You don't roll for hit points of damage, you roll for hit dice of damage. So essentially, even your starter character can very quickly just swing for, okay, re-roll your 4th level character. They're gone. I've wiped them from the earth in a moment. And it just had a lot of very clever mechanics for playing this very high-powered game where you kick over the whole sandbox, and it makes it real easy for the GM to set the sandbox back up and also have threats that actually threaten you. So it's just really cool. And I really enjoy it because you actually get the long-term campaign effects of, I've built up a certain amount of divinity, now I'm going to do a big thing. In one game, I literally raised up the island nation that had sank in the past that I'd wanted to, because I just did enough work and collected enough points, and I was like, fine, this is going to happen. And you spend your, I'm trying to remember what it was called, Dominion. And just okay, cool, now my island that my people once came from is back. And that's pretty thrilling. It's pretty thrilling to be able to change the literal map of the game with your actions. So Godbound's one of the holy grails that came through for me. We'll see if the other ones ever do.
My answer is a little boring because I haven't played a whole lot outside of Dungeons and Dragons, AD&D, and 5th edition. But I did recently get Dune, and I've been reading through the book. And I'm really wanting to play. I just haven't had the opportunity to play yet.
Yeah,
I've heard great things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in my group's list as soon as we're done with the one we're on. I think we're copying the Dune, and we're going on to a whole nother aspect of it. So it should be, it's going to be run by one of our guys who's just a huge Dune fan as well. So,
Does it have its own system, or is it built off something else like Mephidius or powered by the Apocalypse?
It's by Mephidius, and it's
Yeah.
like
Oh,
an
okay.
altered 2D20 system.
I've heard so many good things about Mephidius. I need to play with the system. They're making, because I think they got the Star Trek game, they got the Fallout game, and now they got Dune. So I got to get cracking on one of these.
Yeah.
yeah, they got. I think they're also. I think there's a Kickstarter out for them. They're going to be doing a GI Joe version of it now.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, wow.
That would be very ridiculously
like-
fun.
And I think when one of my friends told me about it, I'm like, shut up and take my money now. I'm
Right.
going to get that.
Do you have to end each session with saying, and now you know, and knowing is
And-
half the battle?
Right.
After now,
I mean, I can't not respond when somebody says, and now you know.
Yeah. And knowing is half the
I know he's after battle. Come on.
battle. Finish it!
Right?
There's a lot of systems out there that I've really started to enjoy. Quest is a great one. The Quest RPG is another really nice
Real good.
rules light system. And Mothership RPG is a new one that I've just recently started getting into that I've really been enjoying. I did a one shot of that. And then now I'm currently playing a play by post of that. And
I kickstarted that one. I'm waiting for my physical copies. I'm excited about Mothership.
yeah. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I should definitely emphasize that, like, sci-fi horror is not generally the realm that I reside in, like, by any stretch of the imagination. And so for the fact that I really enjoy it is really saying something about it, because that's what it's meant for. And so that's been a good one. Aether and Steamworks is a great little indie system. That one's a lot of fun. You can have a lot of very interesting things happen because basically there's a table similar to Wild Magic called the Chaos Table. I did a one-shot one time where we ended up having a tree sprout up in the middle of a space station that shot pencils out into the walls. Like, it was wild, but
This one does.
yeah, you know. And so then we were like, crap, now we got to get off the space station because there's holes in it everywhere. But yeah, so that's another really fun system too. Pathfinder.
I always have to think
you know.
about like the NPCs and systems like that, because if you ever watch like Epic NPC Man, where it's like following them around, and now I just can't not think about what are the NPCs actually thinking, because you know, Tree just grew up and shooting pencils out. They're like, oh, it must be Tuesday,
Right?
You know.
Well, no, see, we were just talking about this before stream at the movie Free Guy.
Such a good movie.
Right? So good. Just watch that and then you know what the NPCs are thinking.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many good systems out there right
Yeah.
now. Inspiriles, if you're like even remotely interested in learning sign language, is a system that will teach you either ASL or British Sign Language. So that's
So I've seen this. Do you know anything about like how they're? Sorry, I've seen ads in my scroll for it.
Yeah,
But I've never
actually
seen the game. So how?
Yep, I've backstarted both Kickstarters. I've backed both Kickstarters, both the original game and now Over Isles, which is the expansion for it.
Gotcha.
And so it has to do with like communication and spellcasting. So I've only really gotten to play it once. But actually I've had the creator of the game has been on this stream in the past, and we were hoping to have him on again, but schedules didn't line up because he's in Britain and it's late there. But yeah, it that's sort of the initial feel for it. I am hoping with the next Kickstarter, I'm like a physical book person. I like to have the physical book. I don't retain a ton from reading it, but I do better if I have the actual hard copy. And so with this the latest Kickstarter, I'll be getting both physical books this time. I have the digital copy of the original game, so I'm hoping to really spend some time diving into it. But I did do a play test of it, and that was sort of the initial vibe that I got from using it. But yeah, it's really neat. They have a lot of the creator actually has worked with deaf and hard of hearing for years and years and years, and that was sort of where the whole thing stemmed from. And so it's been really exciting for them because they were able to bring in a lot of deaf and hard of hearing creators to work on the project, which was really cool. So
That is awesome.
yeah.
Did I answer this question?
I don't know, did you?
I don't know. I don't. So I have a lot of different systems, and we never get to play because everyone's always like, let's play D&D because it's D&D.
The one everybody knows.
Right. And so we've recently started the every other Saturday thing just so we could play these other things that either myself or my friends have. What did we just play? Well, we're playing one coming up this Saturday called Diesel, which is like a Weird West steampunk, but it's like diesel punk instead.
Mm-hmm.
It's super simplistic, and it's so there's the frontier, and then there's this curtain that goes off into the multiverse, and anything can run through the curtain and come up to your little western town. And so I'm just I'm really looking forward to seeing what weird shenanigans happen with that kind of game. And then, I do like D&D. I think I agree with Run that, the overarching, I've been playing D&D since I've been 8, so I can't say I don't enjoy.
Exactly.
Right.
It's such a big part of everybody's lives, I think, at this point. Especially been playing since it came out or close to when it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I really like the World of Darkness, but there's so many iterations that I couldn't even tell you which one it is that we used to play a bunch of. But I always liked Werewolf because you just get to be this. It's really a game you I had a really terrible week at work, or the people in the line at the grocery store really pissed me off. I'm gonna go play Werewolf and just rage and destroy everything. It's a really good cathartic game.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time. So what I would like to do is have everybody go around again and just remind us of who you are and where we can find you on social media and any projects that you have that you would like to share. So we're going to go in the reverse order of when we started. So Ryan, will actually start with you this time.
I go first. So I'm Run DMG, also known as Ryan. You can find me at DMG_Run on Twitter, but on everything else, it's basically flipped. It's at Run_DMG. I make TikToks and memes and stuff like that. I've been trying ever so slightly to get into more content creation stuff with one-page RPGs. But yeah, I mostly make memes. It seems to be going pretty well. I'm almost to 60K followers on TikTok. I'm getting real close.
Congratulations.
Everything else not so good. I've got 300 people on YouTube and not even 1,000 followers on Twitter. Everything else is meh, it's fine. But TikTok for whatever reason seems to be working out, and that's where I post probably the most. I usually try to do 1 or 2 things a day on TikTok. So
awesome. And he's also Cult on Dice Populi.
Oh yeah, for the Dice Populi listeners, I'm Cult. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, thanks so much for coming back. It was so great to have you again.
It's good being back. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And also, let your wife know that I was a big fan of the videos she did with you on TikTok. So
she's very good. She's meant for TikToks. I got to get her on more.
Ryan did a couple of videos where his wife had to try to guess the D&D monster, and it was great fun. All right. Mother Multiverse, aka Melody.
Yeah, hi. Okay, she got the name right, so I'm not gonna say it again. You can find me if you want to like just see me babble about things occasionally on Twitter at Gamski. If you want to find my games, they're at Mother Multiverse on itch.io. I'm also on DriveThruRPG, but I have almost nothing posted there because I just don't like that site as much. Yeah, and I'll probably be constantly making new stuff because I am, like I said, I am addicted to game jams and will continue to be creating new content. If you want to do some anime type stuff, I'll recommend Trash Mob because it's my isekai monster RPG and I really love it because I made it because I wanted to play it. Yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on and hanging out tonight. It was great it's always nice when I can put a face to a Twitter handle.
For sure.
So yeah, I know we've been running in the same Twitter circles for a while, so it's always nice to be able to do that.
It was nice to like face to face and talk. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, you always have very pleasant tweets.
Aw,
You're
thanks.
very kind and positive. I've made note.
I do what I can. All right, Jeremy.
I feel like I should build off that because I was always taught if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So most of my tweet is just I don't do any.
Okay, so don't follow him on Twitter, I think is what he's
Right?
saying.
No, I really do try. I really do try to stay on top of social media, and I'll do really well for bouts of time, and then I'm like squirrel. But you can find me on Twitter at WHPubs. You can find me here on Twitch if you're watching live at WH Publications, because why would I make it the same thing, Ryan? Why would I make it the same? I also make stuff for DriveThruRPG and DM's Guild and all that. Do freelance for other companies. I do on my channel here, we do some live plays on Wednesdays and every other Saturday. Sometimes I do lore chats. It's been a while for that, though, because I'm going to school. So I had to, like, pull back what I was doing. I think that's pretty much the best places to find me. Oh, you could go to whpublications.com, and that's kind of, like, where all the links are.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this was great. Bill, tell us a little more about you.
Well, again, my name is Bill. I do the podcast called I Rolled a One. You can find me on Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook, the I Rolled a One. I also have my own personal Twitter account, which is Endo003. So that you'll be able to find me on there if you're looking just for me in general. I usually release all my content on Tuesdays, and it's, I just put them in little story arcs. And whenever a story arc's done, I start a new story arc, and we burn through like different systems. So it's a lot of fun. Come check it out.
Nice. Well, thank you for coming on and talking tonight. And sorry, I'm trying to keep my cat from turning my computer off. And
And done.
and stream's over. And Adam.
Yeah, I'm Adam. You can find me at Creative Typo Entertainment. You can go to creativetypo.com. I'm on Microphones and Monsters. Check out the new Dread Tech show coming out later this month. Dread Tech Incorporated. It's already got a trailer out there, so you can add it to your feed, so it'll start downloading as soon as it starts coming out.
Nice.
Biggest place to get news right now is our Discord at discord.gg/Creative Typo. Very simple.
I did not realize you could set your own thing. That's so useful.
I didn't know
Rather
that
than
either.
Discord.gg QX period. Right?
I'm gonna have to look into that
Luckily,
now.
we've had a lot of people boost our server, and we unlocked it at the final tier. So
Oh,
it's really
nice.
nice.
That's
That's
awesome.
far away for the Dice Populi server. We're on boost level like 1, I think.
That's why I don't even talk about it, because I'm just like, I don't remember what that weird code is for mine.
Yeah. That's why I just, it's in my link tree if you want to join.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. This has been a great night, wonderful conversations. I appreciate having you all so much. This has been Tales from the Tavern. I am Gamer Mom Luna. We are here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, where we are the epic TTRPG chat show where chat asks all of the questions. And we are going to, we're going to go drop a raid on Total Party Chill. They're playing some D&D tonight, so we're going to go over there and say hi. And I hope you all have a great week, and we will catch you all next Sunday night when we are back. Have a great evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
I should go.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Tales from the Tavern. You can catch this podcast recorded live every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/GamerMomLuna. All of our questions come directly from chat, so we never really know what to expect when we go live. If you ever have a question or would like to add something to the conversation, feel free to reach out on Twitter at GamerMomLuna and use the hashtag TFTT. You may just get to hear it answered. Thanks so much.
I should go.